I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you start
turning you on in 3.
Hey, I was already on.
Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be seen on the Martin Houston Radio Network on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can follow at Martin Houston Speaks on those various channels. Type that in, and you should be taken right to our pages. Remember that you can always interact with us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling on this beautiful morning. As we get things rolling, I want to remind you that you can also chat us up, let us know what's on your mind, and we will bring you in into the conversation. So let us hear from you this morning. We have DC Capstone Report joining us today. And, of course, Martin and Xavier here each and every day from 6 to 7. Remember this, trust in what the Lord is doing, because this is a day that he has made. So let's rejoice, be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Martin. Good morning, X. Hope you're all doing well this morning.
We are doing well as we get ready to get things rolling. We'll talk a little bit who won the weekend, good, bad, ugly. We'll get into your takeaways, DC, from the game. You had a couple players of the games. We highlight those guys as well, and we'll talk about their review or preview, I should say, of the Alabama-Auburn game, the Iron Bowl, as it is affectionately known. So we'll get all of that conversation in this morning as we get things going. So want to first of all, DC, I think I did get a chance to check you out a little bit. I think you were a little more positive on what you saw this weekend than I was. So I'm gonna let you kind of start off your takeaways from Saturday's game against the Governors. I'll let you start, and X, I'll let you respond, and we'll go from there. Tell me what you saw, what you thought from this weekend's game against the Governors.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a good game, and that we could have come out and laid an egg playing against the FCS opponent and not been motivated, not been able to play up to our capabilities. But so I think overall it was a good performance. I think offensively we had a good game plan. I believe we came out. What I saw was we were dedicated to running the ball more and taking some time off the clock, trying to limit them touches. They had an offense that was much like Tennessee's offense, try to run wide, spread, and run the ball. I thought we did a good job of running the ball ourselves to take some time off the clock. Obviously had a great balance. We had, I think, 500 yards, and I think it was 268, 269 as far as the rushing and the passing yards. So I thought that was good. I still think we made some mistakes. I thought we had some plays that were left on the field that we could have taken advantage of individually, but I think there was more execution than anything else. Defensively, I was very impressed with our run defense again. Thought we was able to control the line of scrimmage, stop the run, put them in obvious some passing situations that got them behind the chains, and allowed us to do well on defense. Got some turnovers. We had some mistakes. We turned the ball over, but we did get turnovers on defense, and I thought that was a good improvement going forward. I was impressed with some individual performances. I thought Jace McClellan had his best game ever, and when you dedicate to running the ball, I think he's really a good back to build an offense around, and he shows that potential that he has. So I was pleased with that performance. On defense, very pleased with Brian Branch. Thought he played a well of a game as far as run support, dropping back in medium pass coverage, and covering a couple of their guys a couple of times that were really good receivers, and still being able to stay up with them. So just really overall, I thought it was a good performance against a team that we could have really come out and had a lackluster performance. I thought we did a pretty good job.
X.
All those things are really good positives. I do think the team kind of came out flat, though, in my opinion, just because, this is a team that in years past, we've seen Alabama beat 50-0, 60-0, and just dominating. You normally get to see a lot of the young guys. So as far as individual performances, yes, Jace had a great game. Burton had his first 100-yard game. Branch played really well. I think that was his first career interception. As a team, there was a lot left to be desired from me.
Yeah, and like I said, I think there was some things that you saw in there that could be viewed as good things. And I think DC hit a couple of those things that I would say were positives, and then there was a couple where, as you say, left something to be desired. So I think we can kind of look at that. So from the good part was that this team did get to win. In about halfway through the second quarter and into the third quarter, they played like Alabama. You would expect them to play against this team. I thought early on we were a little flat, and to me left a lot to be desired in the way we played the game. That early on they had success, and they just missed some big opportunities. DC, I think this game quickly would have turned and felt so much like so many others if they hit and connect on a couple of those early passes that they missed on. What I walk away with, DC, and get your thoughts on this, and then we'll continue the conversation. DC, they call the exact same play that Tennessee runs, and to me, we played it the exact same way. They just didn't connect on the pass when they stacked their their wide receivers. To me, it looked like they got the exact same thing Tennessee got on us. A guy was running wide open down the field. And that's what concerned me. My expectation, DC, was that we put this game away and we get to see young players. And if Coach Saban went into this game and that was his game plan to only play the young players in the latter half of probably about 2/3 of the fourth quarter left, that's bad game planning on his part against this type of team. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. I think we did not put this team away and did not get young guys a chance. And to me, with the transfer portal, that's a big issue. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that point. I think they ran the exact same play that Tennessee ran. I think that was their intention to go after Alabama's weakness. And I don't think Alabama had adjusted those plays. We played them the same way. We played them in a defensive scheme that requires execution. I don't think we executed on the corners or the safeties in those type plays. I think they saw the exact same plays. They didn't execute. But I think anytime that your defense plays the way they did, as far as holding the other team rushing the ball, I thought we did what we were needed to do, and they didn't execute on their passes. If they had hit their passes on their wide open receivers, then I think it would have been different. But they didn't, so we get a shutout. So I think the defensive performance doesn't improve from that, because you don't. I don't think you get beat on those. And I know Coach Saban says he likes to improve from a win, but I don't know that if Auburn comes out and runs the same plays, we wouldn't react the same way. So I see what you're saying about that. That's disheartening. But I think a part of the game plan on offense was to run the ball and give them less opportunities. And when we ran the ball, we didn't have as big opportunities to get the explosive plays. So I don't think we had much more time. We had more time possession, but I don't think we took advantage of some of the plays we had in order to score more. And when you give them 3 turnovers, you give them 3 more opportunities to take the ball. We don't turn the ball over 3 times in the score. We may have been up by 3 touchdowns more than what we were over. We'd be talking completely different. So I think some of our old habits, our old mistakes came back to haunt us in this game. We haven't improved much on some of those areas. And Coach Xavier even admitted in his press conference that they saw the same plays they saw against Tennessee. They didn't play them any better than they did against Tennessee.
Yeah, and X, you were about to say something. Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
What I was going to say, DC, is that's probably the thing that was disheartening for me, was that a lot of it we did look, to me, in some ways the same. And had this been a better opponent, would a better opponent have taken advantage of the same mistakes we've made? Now, I was glad to see, and we didn't talk about this yesterday, DC, because I wanted to, kind of talk with you on it as well. DC, you have to look. He called different plays. Why did we ran just without even making a list? We ran a deep ball on the second play. We ran the counter that we scored against Texas in this game, where you pull the 2 linemen. We ran that. We ran a speed sweep. Of course, we fumbled on it. I didn't think we fumbled. It was close. You always want to get up with the ball, is what they teach us running back. But we fumbled, which I thought his butt was down. But either way, we're still in a situation there, DC, where early on we were running some different types of plays. We ran, some things outside. And I'm like, why have we not done that all year? And that's the frustration to me in this game, DC. The very things, even though when we call runs as a whole, what's the name, averaging 9 yards and all that, and it is against Austin Peay, and I get that, but at least it can build confidence. But the things that we've done that have frustrated me all year, I still saw some sign of them. And I never felt like Alabama put this team away so that, or the coaches didn't make a decision to put the young guys in. I think you could have put the young guys in when it was 24-0 and got them some reps. Or, I don't think there was any chance of us losing to Austin Peay. And once again, to me, this coaching staff doesn't make the choices to build this program now that you're not playing for a national championship, and the transfer portal out there, and we still didn't get the young guys in. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that we could have probably gone in at 24-0, 21-0, whatever, and been fine in the game. Put our game down, but put our younger players in. But I think it was clear that Coach Saban has not changed his philosophy on that. He's not gonna put his young players in. He's been that way unless the game's out of control, out of reach, or unless the other team has stopped competing, and that team was continuing to compete. And I think he stayed true to his philosophy that you continue to play your starters, and as long as the other team is trying to compete, or you've got the game out of reach. And I think that,
and that's what I'm saying. Do you
come back to haunt you down the road? And some of the, I thought one of the things I think that we haven't adapted to with the NIL and the transfer portal. I think that's one thing that may haunt us down the road.
Yeah. Okay. X, any thoughts before we get to break there?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that has always been an issue with Coach Saban and the way he plays the backups and things of that nature. Part of the reason why Georgia is having the success that they're having this year is because it didn't matter. They played their backups last year every opportunity that they got to play them. And you're seeing the benefits of it this year. Even though they lost a record number of guys to the NFL draft, they're still 11-0, still the best team in the country because all of those young guys got reps last year.
Yeah, and I guess to me, and Curtis asked the same question, and I'll let you get. When is a game out of control against an Austin Peay?
I think, in my opinion, and in Coach Saban's opinion, this is something I'm going on his body of work. It's the same thing, no matter who he's playing. He has a number in his head, and I think if Alabama had not had the 3 turnovers, if we did not turn over the ball and scored on those possessions, I think he'd have cleared and had the young players in there. But we all talk about analytics as if it's a new thing. Analytics is this big word to put on something that happens over and over and a trend that you can follow. And Coach Saban has that in his mind and what it's going to be. And you've all seen it. There was a time where we cleared our bench and did it, but it was because he was blowing people out, and we got some people some playing time in years past. But he doesn't go to that as long as the other team is still competing and just within reach. I think he uses 4 scores as his idea. I mean, field goals are 4 trips down the field. I think is what he uses, either field goals or touchdowns. And I think that sometimes he wants to get 31 points, and we don't do that often. We hadn't done that often against these younger teams this year.
Yeah, and I think Curtis, and we're gonna get to break, and then we'll come back, DC, and we'll talk a little bit about some things that, even though I'm not excited about what I saw Saturday, at least there were some things that hopefully, because confidence is a big thing, a couple things that maybe this team can build off of from Saturday as we prepare to get ready to play against the soon-to-be Lane Kiffin's Auburn Tigers, at least according to a reporter. We'll have a little fun with that conversation as well. Lane Kiffin, the GOAT of Twitter and responses, struck again last night. So we'll break that down. Listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, with DC Capstone Report joining us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Tuesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Drive carefully and have a great day. The Black Friday sales event is underway now at Townsend Nissan. Super deals, discounts, and top dollar on your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Black Friday deals, the gifts are unreal.
Through Sunday at JCPenney, shop thousands of deals so low, no coupons needed. We got your holiday.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Hey, Nissan, how do you get to the top?
Calculating. Proceed to 1959. Take a hard left in East Africa at the 71 Safari Rally. Veer right for 19 off-road championships in the Baja Desert. Proceed towards Moab. Take the trail to Hell's Revenge. Include steep incline. Continue for the next 1,000,000 miles.
Where to first again?
60 years, millions of miles, and the capability to take you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi. The Literacy Council of West Alabama serves 9 counties by getting books into the hands of children and adults, encouraging students to read, write, and stay in school, providing community resources and role models, and encouraging adults to get their GED. Please check out their newest little libraries at U Perk Coffee Shop, Catch a Taste Restaurant, and Haycourt Apartments in Tuscaloosa. The Literacy Council of West Alabama serves 9 counties by getting books into the hands of children and adults.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
We'll forecast a mixture of clouds and sunshine today with only a small chance of a shower. The high 61. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 37. And the warming trend continues tomorrow. The sky partially sunny, the high at 68 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 45 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmarkdesign.com.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Martin, YouTube just crashed. Just go ahead and go.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We have DC Capstone Report joining us for another segment. As we were going to break there, DC, we were having fun about the Lane Kiffin scenario, and we'll get that in the third quarter. But want to invite our listeners to get in on the conversation with us this morning, talking about Alabama and Austin Peay. And you mentioned a couple of players of the games and things that, like I said, I was extremely disappointed. I'm gonna tell you, DC, I told him yesterday I took my crimson colored glasses and I set them down, and I accidentally missed the table, and they were on the floor, and I was standing up, and I accidentally stepped on them. Now I'm not off the bandwagon, but for me to believe that this Alabama Crimson Tide dynasty is not on a downward trend. All other times, DC, when I've seen stuff happen, I've felt like, man, hey, it's coming. It's going to right itself. The ship's going to be righted. Had no concerns that the media pundits that were saying that Alabama's dynasty was over or anywhere close to being correct. I don't feel that way this time. I feel like without some drastic changes, Alabama's going to have some challenges moving forward, because I think there's a lot of teams out there who have taken our model and are doing. There's more than one team that is doing what we do better. In other words, we're no longer the Alabama of old, physical, dominant, big, powerful run team that has the ability to run it when we want to run it. And that's what balance is. Balance isn't about whether or not you run the ball like this game was, 264, 263 pass to run. That's what people think balance is. Balance isn't that. Balance is whichever one of those I need to do, I'm equally good at. And if I need to pass it on you to beat you, I can. If I need to run it on you to beat you, I can. If I need to run it with 4 minutes to go, I can. That's what Georgia is right now. And they're physical in the trenches. They're dominant. Then you have to go to the other side is we have been an offensive juggernaut. Okay? The last couple relevant teams in the Nick Saban era, DC and X, have been because of offense. Well, we're not the best version of that. So we're not the best version of our physical, dominant, defenses that can shut you down or the offense. And without drastic change, DC, where do we go? What's the future for this Alabama team and program if we don't see some drastic changes?
Well, I disagree with you. I don't see us on the downward trend just because of this. I see we made one decision that's caused all of this. Y'all can disagree with me if you want to. I think one decision has put us in a position where we are today. And I think that can be corrected, and I think it will be corrected in the off season, and I think we'll be better for it when it happens. So,
what's that decision?
The decision to hire Bill O'Brien as our offensive coordinator. I think that's put us in a position where we are with the lack of offensive production.
And DC, I don't think we disagree. That's one of the drastic changes that I'm talking about.
I don't think that's going to be a drastic change. I think you're under the impression that. You're under the impression that we had made a decision to go the route we are today offensively, and I don't think that's what we made at all. We made a decision to hire Bill O'Brien as our offensive coordinator with the idea that it was going to come in here and run our offense, the same offense that Steve Sarkisian ran, and that's something that he could not do. He didn't do it. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole. He came in and couldn't do that, but he did mesh well with Bryce Young and enough to get him a Heisman Trophy season here. And he committed, and Coach Saban committed to him. And it was a 2-year commitment. And I think we don't talk about that. We don't talk about behind the scenes. But Coach Saban made a commitment. He stayed loyal to him. And that was the deal he made for 2 years. And Bill O'Brien stayed loyal to him. And it was the deal he made for 2 years. That's over this year. I think he's gone. No doubt in my mind he's gone. And we'll come back in with someone that'll get us back to where we want to play. Coach Saban changed everything about his defense in order to adapt to Lane Kiffin's offense, which Steve Sarkisian continued to run, which we were built to run, and did a great job of it. He changed everything about his defense to compete with all those type of offenses, so that he was
except for his DBs, except for the way the DBs play.
No, I think he's changed his defense. I'm not talking about the defense of his scheme. I'm talking about the personnel. We don't have that big run stopping defense anymore. That's not the way we play any longer.
Right.
And so I think he changed that when Lane Kiffin came here and said, "Hey, if you get our guys lighter on the line, then you can compete with these offenses out there." Well, those offenses are still out there and doing well on those. I think Georgia has showed us that we could have stayed where we were.
Yep.
And still play the way we were, and still have adapted into the juggernaut that Georgia is today. If we'd have just stuck to that, my opinion is we weren't playing the scheme correctly. That's the drastic change that I think we're going to have to make. Is the scheme? Coach Saban's got to get out of his, I don't want to say rut, if you will, but get out of his go-to on his defense and listen to some other defensive minds that are doing really well competing against some of those defenses, and change that part. I think the drastic change on offense is happening already. It's coming next year. So I think that decision is a decision that helped Bryce Young individually win a Heisman Trophy, helped us compete last year. But that decision did not go well. But Coach Saban stuck with it and didn't let him go last year. Which I think would have been better for the team. I think we can all say that if you look at anything that's going on with Alabama offense. If you look at the game against Alabama's offense, we were a much, in my opinion, we're a much better team when Jace McClellan is running back. I think that it just goes to show you that there's certain people, certain individuals that fit well within a design offense and some that don't. And we have a tendency with coaches and with players to stick with people too longer than we need to on offense. That's what's brought our offense down.
DC and X, I want you to respond. Do you really think that if we ran the ball like that with Gibbs, that Gibbs wouldn't have more plays than McClellan? I think that we never used Gibbs that way. I think that Gibbs would be, I think Gibbs would be just as explosive. I think that because we saw that against Arkansas when we call plays, if he gets to the second level where McClellan gets 15 yards. What's the name takes it to the house. I just don't think we've been committed to the run. Let me get an X to respond, and I'll come back and let you respond.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's more than just Bill O'Brien. I think Pete Golden is a big issue. And I do think the defensive scheme has changed too much. You have Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, who would have been just pure edge guys, essentially playing defensive end now. So that's one issue. You've gotten a lot smaller on that front because now you're only playing 2 true D linemen. But outside of that, I don't know if it's other things too. I don't know if Holloman Wiggins is developing wide receivers as well as he should. I mean, you look at the guys that we had when he first came in. It was Ruggs, it was Smitty, it was Judy. Yeah, Mechie was a young guy. And then as much as we like to say, hey, Jamison Williams wouldn't have been a first-round pick without coming to Alabama, he was developed at Ohio State. This is the first year that there hasn't been anybody from before Holloman who wasn't around those great group of wide receivers, Waddle included, that we've seen, and these guys aren't very good. They're not good at getting open. They're not good at creating separation, and we have a lot of speed at that position. We got a lot of size at that position, and it's mute at this point.
Yeah, and I'll say that DC. You said you don't agree with drastic necessarily, but I think you said the same thing I was saying. To me,
I didn't agree with the dynasty was over. I don't agree with that.
No, I didn't say the dynasty was over. I don't think it's over. But if we don't make changes, then it's on the decline. And what I'm saying is,
I think we both agree with that, and I think changes are coming. I don't think Bill O'Brien not being offensive coordinator is a drastic decision. I think that decision was made last year, and we limped through this year.
Here's the question, though.
I'm saying that Jace McClellan is better at running that than Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm saying Jace McClellan is a player that came in and took advantage of himself running and doing those things after the play. But he did because they played because he came in, they called dedicated run plays. For some reason, we had it in our mind as offensive coordinator that when Jahmyr Gibbs is in the game, we've got to do a whole different set of plays. That's not true. That's why I'm saying we don't have the ability to adapt to what the other team is giving us on offense. We have offensive minded that, hey, we pigeonhole this guy that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. We can do motion and run. And yes, he can do all those things. But man, just call a running play and pull the guard, let the man hit the hole. Let him do that instead. That's what I'm saying. I'm not down at Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the other part I would say,
hungry to come in and hit the hole. But you called him a running play. Of course he's going to be excited. The linemen are excited to block. Hey, this is the guy that's turning. That's not saying Jahmyr Gibbs just can't do that. We don't know because we never called that play with Jahmyr Gibbs. Right.
And the other part, DC, that I would say is this. There's no guarantee that Saban won't do the same thing he's already done. The old guys, the Kiffins, the Dayballs, the Loxleys, and the Sarkisians are all head coaches now, okay?
Yeah.
He has to find a young guy, but that hasn't been the way he's traditionally done it, okay? So to me, just because he fires Bill O'Brien doesn't mean he's going to be able to hire and convince one of those young guys to come coach at Alabama, because, these young guys are going to the Arkansas and the Ole Misses and all of that other world, and they're making as much as they make here now, and they can have a quality of life. And so there's some challenges. When I say it, I understand that to me, the offensive coordinator position has to be one of the changes. Number two, to me, either Golding has to be, if what Golding and people say that know it, Golding has to be either released to coach and transition to his style, or Saban has to find someone out there who is strong enough to stand up and change the style and take the heat. Because I watched South Carolina shut down an offense that embarrassed Alabama's defense. And to me, that was coaching and scheme. And where did they get that coaching and scheme from? They got it from what? They got it from Georgia, I'm sure. But they executed it. We had a chance this week to go against a much lesser opponent with a similar offense. And to me, we still hadn't adjusted. They just don't have the players or the skill set to execute, but I still saw some of the same thing. And then DC, I saw also a lot of still, even though we didn't have as many, we still had mistakes and mental. And and that's what my concern is that there's going to have to be drastic change with all of this if we're going to get there. So let's get the break here. Coming back on the other side, and we'll talk Alabama, Auburn, Iron Bowl. We'll talk our new nemesis, Lane Kiffin, as he has decided that he's headed down to the Plains, or maybe not. Come back right here on the Martin Houston Show, and we'll tell you what's up with Lane Kiffin and the Auburn Tigers.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
This is Timothy Bowens with your Tide Sports Update. Bryce Young and Will Anderson have not committed to playing in the bowl game. Former Alabama receiver Jamison Williams is on the verge of returning. The Alabama women's basketball team fell to number 17 Utah in the Bahamas on Monday.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
If you have a community event in Tuscaloosa in West Alabama, tell us about it. All you have to do is email the information to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com. Be sure to include all the details, like the cause, date, time, location, and a good contact name and number. Email it to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com.
When choosing a wireless provider, you're forced to compromise. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could get reliable service without a contract and save money? Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family, with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide, based on first-place rankings and RootMetrics first half 2022 5G assessments of 125 metros. Experiences may vary, not an endorsement.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff. Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher & Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher & Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com. A little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Drives in. Oh, mercy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, put back now. The buzzer sounds. And Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness.
For a new season of Alabama basketball, Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide are back in Coleman Coliseum and ready to play in front of the best fans in the country. Tickets are on sale now. Reserve your seats today at RollTide.com.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with peak long life universal pre-mixed antifreeze and coolant. Now just $3.99 after mail-in rebate. Limits apply. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Colorectal cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19. Hello, I'm Dr. Cecilia Brewington. If you are age 45 or older, it's time to return to care and get tested. The government requires insurance companies to cover not only colonoscopy, but a range of tests, including virtual colonoscopy and other less invasive exams. Talk to your doctor about your options today. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
We asked Bryce, so I figure I'll ask you too. Have you given any thought to this possibly being your last game in an Alabama uniform, and will it be your last game in an Alabama uniform?
You know, I haven't made any decisions yet. I've just been real focused on this season and, continue to be a good leader and, making sure that, I'm showing guys the right way of, how to do things around here. But it's been a great time, here. Playing in Bryant-Denny, it's been fun, so many memories. And, I just want to keep those memories going. So it's been fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah, Bryce, I'm not sure when we're going to get to talk to you next. So I just want to ask, with the bowl game basically being next, is this going to be your last game, or have you made a decision, or have you thought things through? Where are you at with all that?
I haven't. As far as anything in my future, I take everything one day at a time. So all I've been focused on throughout the year has been the next opponent. Obviously, this is huge. This is a huge game. This means a lot to me, to people in the entire state, to us as a team. This is a huge game. So all I think about is today. How can I be the best version of myself today to get ready to put myself in the best circumstances? How we as a team can do that, and that's all my head's focused on.
Yeah, Bryce, I'm not sure when we're going to get to talk to you.
All right, what you hear right there, DC?
I hear that both of them have talked to their people and they're giving them good sound advice that there's no need to play in a bowl game where they could be injured since they're both going to be top 10 in draft picks. So I would not expect to play in a bowl game unless we're playing for a college football playoff.
So what are they playing for? Why are they playing Saturday?
I think they're both of those are playing Saturday because of their ties to Alabama football and because they want to do the right thing and start and finish what they started against their rival. I think another player won't be playing Saturday who doesn't have those kind of ties. That's the difference.
You talking about Gibbs?
Talking about Gibbs, that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know that Gibbs isn't hurt. Is hurt. No one really.
I can say he had a twisted ankle, but I can say based on people I know that he's not hurt enough not to play in the game. That there'll be other players playing this game that's had the same twisted ankle, and he's not playing because he's making a business decision to shut down play and not get hurt any worse going into the NFL. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and of course when he didn't play the second half 2 weeks ago, the sideline reporter was told nothing was wrong, and that he was not injured. And so, and then of course after the game, we were told he had a twisted ankle. I think there was some type of dust up between them. Just my opinion, and how he was being used. Guys, go ahead.
I think so, but I think Coach Saban is maintaining the twisted ankle for not only for Gibbs' sake for NFL, but also for others that transfer. It's just a different age we're in, guys. Transfer portal changes the way you talk and changes the way you act sometimes. And so I think that's why he's saying he has a twisted ankle.
Yep, and which I mean, we could be shot with Gibbs out there Saturday, but which makes the fact that he did not play more guys Saturday, even more disturbing to me, is the fact that we're in a new era, and it's like in a lot of ways, in many ways, Saban has adjusted and evolved. But sometimes when you start getting older, DC, sometimes it's harder to make those choices and different decisions, and 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 that's kind of where we're at. We got a couple callers I want to get to, and then we'll get to the Kiffin conversation. But before I do that, they say Curtis Lewis said they pulled Gibbs in that game, so Gibbs says, "Screw you, I'm out." So I don't blame him. So different world. This is what I said. Nick Saban's one of the few coaches, maybe the only coach, that hasn't had to face this new era, because he's made it to every playoff or relevant to just about every playoff scenario, with the exception of one. So we've not had this in a regular season where guys were shutting it down. So, but let's pull up Pat. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Martin. First off, hey, this is going to be okay, Martin. I want to talk you off the ledge, my buddy.
I ain't on no ledge. Hey, Pat, I ain't on no ledge. I just took off my glasses. I don't see everything crimson now.
You need to put on that welding shield, and let me tell you why. That since we may not have Hank this week, things are going to be okay. There's also something called the portal, and in that portal, there's a quarterback that Coach Saban coveted many when in the beginning of his recruitment in high school, and that quarterback is going to be available and could possibly come to Tuscaloosa and be what we need. From North Carolina. This is going to be okay, Morton. Because
so you're telling me. So Pat, you're telling me I should rest my hope on Alabama being relevant next year on
a guy
Saban getting the quarterback from North Carolina, who was committed here and who supposedly Saban told go get some playing experience and then come back. And so that means Miro, Ty Simpson, Eli Hosting, and Longer or whatever his name is.
Lonergan.
So we've recruited 4 guys, 4 scholarships to get a guy from North Carolina.
Hey, we only need him for a short period of time while those other ones
What's going to happen after that?
Because those guys aren't going to get on the field, not have experience again. So you're just talking about delaying. You see, that's the problem, Pat, and this is nothing towards you. Alabama has started to become reliant on the portal instead of developing guys. And that's an issue.
It's hard. Hey, even the NFL has a very difficult time picking first-round quarterbacks. Do you not understand how many are bust in the first round as quarterbacks go? That it is an extremely, extremely difficult position to find a quarterback.
Here's the difference, Pat. Alabama, Nick Saban can go out every year and get a guy that he wants. The NFL, you got one shot, and that one shot can affect you for 3 or 4 years. But Nick Saban can go get his first-round quarterback, or 2 of them like he did this year, 2 of them back like he did in 2017 with Mac and Tua every year.
Hey, all right. Well, next thing I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of y'all, and especially DC. Hey, in DC, I agree with you that the running back that we got from Texas is way better than a running back from Georgia Tech that does not care about the University of Alabama. So it appears to me too. And hey, I love all y'all. Hey, this is going to be okay. I promise you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Pat.
Hey, there's also a scenario where Hey, Bryce is going to be paid a big chunk of money to come back one more year too. So
that is not going to happen. Pat, the guy's talking about not playing in a bowl game. All right, have a good one, Pat. Hey, the guy's talking about not playing in a bowl game. He ain't coming back for $10 million when he's going to be guaranteed 20 plus all the endorsements, and he can set his fee for the endorsements. So he's not coming back. We'll respond to a couple of things there. But Chuck, let's get Chuck in real quick. Chuck, you in with the Martin Hughes Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline with DC joining us.
All right. Good morning to you all, and great conversation. And like we've been piggyback on what you're saying. There's just changes there, and what people are doing, what these programs are doing now, they're taking on the model of Alabama in the age of transfer portal. And I agree with things that DC was saying, and this is where we are now. And I look at Coach Saban has gotten older, and people. I don't like to talk about the age thing because we all get to that point as long as we live. And the thing about it, there's a thing called stubbornness that kicks in, and see what happened. Lane Kiffin, that name constantly kicking around. I said, what is it they want with him? What I saw Saturday night against Arkansas, are they sure they still want him? I'm going to leave it at that.
Thanks, Chuck. DC, respond to Chuck's question. Do the Auburn Tigers still want Lane after last week?
I think the Auburn Tigers want Lane Kiffin. They want him for some reason that they've got in their mind that they want him. All the fan base does, but this Auburn narrative of Lane Kiffin to Auburn, it may happen, but I promise you, Lane Kiffin, you're not going to know what Lane Kiffin's going to do until he announces out of his own mouth. I laughed so much last night. He won Twitter for me. You talking about who won the weekend? I think Lane Kiffin won Twitter for me last night when he posted what he posted about that Starkville, Mississippi news anchor. But my favorite part of it was the news anchor.
You have to tell people what he said. Some people may not know.
Well, there was a report made by a head news anchor out of Starkville. Of course, Starkville is where their rival Mississippi State. They're coming up against the big Egg Bowl this week, and so he posted that Lane Kiffin he had his sources. Auburn hadn't offered his job to anyone yet, but Lane Kiffin was their guy, and Lane Kiffin was going to announce on Friday before the Egg Bowl that he was going to Auburn. Egg Bowl be his last game. And that's what his sources said. And so Lane Kiffin tweeted, next tweet was, he shared his tweet and said, "This is news to me." Like, I hadn't said that at all. And then he followed that up with a tweet where he had a breaking news story that head anchor there at that station in Starkville was going to the Oxford station to be the head anchor there. That's what Lane Kiffin's sources had said. But my favorite part was the head anchor at Oxford tweeted later, "Oh my, I just heard from Lane Kiffin that I've been replaced by the Starkville, Mississippi head anchor." So he had a lot of fun with the Twitter last night, and I think that everybody loves Lane Kiffin.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate that, man. Have a good one. All right, hey DC, as we wrap up, man. Lane, that was classic Lane Kiffin. I'll let you. Is Lane going to be announced as the coach before or after the Iron Bowl, if at all?
My hot take is that Lane Kiffin will not go to Auburn. Lane Kiffin has played Auburn like a Stradivarius fiddle to get as much money out of Ole Miss as he can, plus to get the collective. He thinks he knows NIL is the way to go. He knows transfer portal is his future, and I think he did that in Ole Miss. Just increased, I think, 3 times the amount in the NIL money in the last 3 days. I think his flirting with Auburn has been true. I still think Lane Kiffin would love to come to the University of Alabama, and I believe he knows that he burns that bridge just as others have found out if he were to go to Auburn. So unless Auburn just makes it a deal that he cannot refuse, I don't look for him. I don't look for Deion Sanders to be there either.
I heard that they were going to offer him $14 million a year.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, unless he was offered a position that made him the #1 college coach in the nation and guaranteed that, with a clause like Coach Saban had that he'd make the number one forever. It'll always go up. If he were to get that kind of contract, then it would be hard for him to turn that down at Auburn. $14 million a year is a lot, especially to get a buyout that Jimmy Sexton could work for him. So if it doesn't work out, he can still be set for life. I think that would be something that would be hard to turn down.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So
I don't know that he's going to get that out of Auburn. It's possible, but I don't know that he'll get that amount.
All right, give me your score, DC.
Alabama 45, Auburn. I'm sorry, Alabama 35, Auburn 17.
35-17. All right, closing thoughts, DC. We got to get out of here.
Well, my closing thoughts will be something different today. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all your listeners out there, and to you and Xavier. I'm thankful for a lot of things, but most thankful that years ago I placed my faith and trust in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and He's been with me ever since. And I hope that everyone takes the opportunity to love on their family this Thanksgiving season, and all the blessings that they've been blessed with by our Creator.
Absolutely. Thanks, DC. That's DC Capstone report. Joins us every Tuesday, and I concur with those sentiments. I was out, most of you don't know, last Friday because I was eulogizing and performing a service for my brother, 53 years old. That brother that you've heard me talk about that was just as good or better than I was in sports passed away way too early and way too young. So this holiday season, make sure you take time to thank family and friends and love on them to the best of your ability while you still can. Remember, trust in the Lord, always lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll be back on tomorrow.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. A formal autopsy blames heart disease for the death of Glenn Foster Jr. He's the former NFL